Hope everyone is having a great day today. So in this video, this is how to stay raw while traveling. And have you ever been wanting to try a raw vegan diet, fruit-based diet, or even just like a vegan diet, but have struggled to maintain your diet when you're traveling, and then you get derailed when you're traveling, and then when you come back home, you're not in your good habits anymore. And so that's the thing with raw, is like, it's really, and any diet really, it's all about momentum. The more momentum you get, the easier it is to keep going. The analogy I always like to use is like, if you think of an avalanche, like that literally just starts off with just like a little bit of snow, and then as it goes down the mountain, it slowly collects more and more snow until it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what we want to do when we're trying to adopt a new lifestyle or a new diet, right? If you can go one day and you can turn that into 2 and then to 4 and then to 8, and then it just, after a while, it just starts to snowball, right? So being able to travel, because a lot of people have to travel for work. A lot of people like to travel for pleasure too, or for family, or for whatever reasons. We like to travel. Traveling is fun. I love traveling. I've been to 50 countries myself, and I still want to keep traveling. So we want to keep that momentum going and maintain our lifestyle, because there's a lot of advantages to eating this way. So in this video, what I want to cover are some advantages and disadvantages to traveling when you're raw. I'm going to tell you what to bring on the airplane. I'm going to tell you what to actually carry with you in your travel bag. I'm going to tell you how to find food, and I'm going to tell you not what to bring. This is what to eat. All right, so let's dive into it. So what are some advantages? Okay, advantages of eating raw while traveling. Okay, so one of the advantages is you don't need a kitchen to make anything, right? So you can keep it super simple. Like, sometimes, like, I've traveled to a lot of countries and I've stayed at a lot of different places. A lot of hostels I'll stay at will have a kitchen that you can use, or a lot of hotels will have kitchenettes that you can use. But like, I mean, even still, like, it's limited, right? But the great thing is about traveling raw is you don't need a kitchen. You can literally just pick up the fruit and eat it as you go. The other thing too is it is very easy to tell if something is raw. Now, what I mean by that is, like, let's say you go out to a restaurant when you're traveling. Let's say you're a vegan and you're in Vietnam, or maybe, sure, why not Vietnam? And you want to order something and you want it to be vegan. You might have a difficult time communicating what it is that you want to that person. But if you're raw, or you're eating raw, because remember, raw food is still vegan food. So you vegans out there, you can travel raw, and it just makes it much easier. So it's very easy to tell if something's raw. Like, I can look at a watermelon and tell it's a watermelon, right? I know it's not cooked. I know it's hasn't been, tampered with. I know what a grape looks like. I know what a strawberry looks like. I know what all this stuff looks like. Whereas if someone's actually cooking something for me or making something for me, I really don't know what it is. So it becomes really difficult if you're in a foreign country, right? Okay, so that's just a couple of advantages. A couple of disadvantages is it can be tough finding ripe fruit. Okay, that's probably the biggest thing that I find. It's not as big of an issue if you're traveling in more tropical, warmer locations. But if you're in, Northern Europe, or even Northern Canada, or Iceland, or some of these, Russia, colder climates, it could be a little bit tougher finding ripe fruit. So to compensate for that, like, I mean, I haven't traveled to any of these countries since I've been raw. I've always preferred to go warmer when I can. But in that case, if you can find ripe fruit as a secondary default, I would look for dates, raisins, or dried fruit as an alternative. Not ideal, but still a good alternative. Okay, and then obviously when you're looking at these foods, because they're more packaged, just if you can read the label, if you can translate it, try to avoid anything with additives and preservatives in it. So that's a good default option, is some dried fruit. Okay, all right, so airplane. What to bring on the airplane. Okay, so you have 2 options, okay? Option 1, I would say either fast on the airplane. I've done this many times. I actually find flying a lot easier when I fast. So like, I literally will just eat before I go, and I've gone, I think, up to 26 hours on an airplane fasting, and it's like relatively easy, right? Like, if I'm eating less, I don't have to drink as much water. I don't have to go to the bathroom as much. So it just becomes I find it really easy to fast on much easier to fast on an airplane. I usually don't really like eating that much when I'm on an airplane. Sometimes when I'm flying, I can get a little bit nauseous if I have too much food in my stomach. But if I have no food, then it just becomes much easier. Okay. Second option I would say would be to bring dates and celery, medjool dates specifically. And the reason I say medjool dates and celery, or even just medjool dates, is I meant to pull up a picture of it here. So, medjool dates, you can probably buy these at Costco. Yes. So you can buy these dates, and you can probably see dates like this pretty much anywhere. See, it comes in a two pound box, and that's probably about 2,500 calories. And so it's a relatively small box. It's probably about this big, and 2,500 calories. That's gonna, like, even if you're traveling for 2 days, like, yeah, that's, you know, more than, I would eat more than 2,000 calories, 2,500 calories a day, but still, it's gonna cover you no matter what. And it's really dense. The nice thing too is that, like, you know, it can be cold on airplanes, so having something a little bit on the denser side is kind of nice. And the great thing about this too is, since it comes in a prepackaged box and it's sealed, it makes it a little bit easier getting it through airport security. I've never had an issue getting dates through airport security, especially if it's already sealed up. So yeah, that makes it really easy. And then I like the celery to go with it too, mainly because the celery, it's just nice to have a little bit of extra water in the body, and dates can be a little bit dehydrating, and you know, it's very easy to get dehydrated on airplanes, so trying to keep some celery in. And same thing, if you just buy a bag of celery, and make sure keep it in the bag you bought it in, and don't open it until you're on the airplane. The only time I've ever had fruit, at least in Canada, when I'm trying to leave Canada, be taken away from me is when it didn't have a sticker on it, because I just want to be able to see where it was made. That's it. Okay, but in Southeast Asia, I've traveled, done a ton of traveling, and I've brought in anything from, like, I've brought in champin duck on an airplane, which is like some really weird tropical fruit. Even one time, I sent my sister home. She was going from Brunei to Japan, and they actually let her bring a full jackfruit and a sprouted coconut. They had to wrap it in plastic so it didn't smell on the airplane, but she actually took I think it was about 5 pounds, a 5-pound jackfruit and a coconut home. And so it's quite surprising how much fruit you can actually get away with on bringing an airplane. The reason I suggest the dates, though, is because they're small, portable, and dense. Okay, next options. So once you're at the hostel or hotel or wherever it is you're staying, the easiest way to find where to get food is just to ask a local. Like, you can look this up, you can look this stuff up before you go and find a market nearby or a grocery store, but, like, it's so much easier. Like, I'm more of a fly by the seat of my pants kind of guy. Like, I'll just, like, make things up as I go and trust that things work out. But, like, every time I just go to a hostel, I'm just like, hey, where is the nearest grocery store? Where is the nearest market? In warmer climates, you know, like Southeast Asia, you know, South America, the Caribbean, all those sort of countries, even probably Africa. I've never been to Africa, but I'm sure in Africa too. And a lot of these warmer countries, it's much more common for people to sell food at markets, and you can get a lot fresher and a lot riper fruit. In colder climates, it's usually a grocery store, okay? And I've been to 50 countries, and I've never not seen fruit at a grocery store, okay? I've never not seen fruit. It's so easy. This is totally doable to be raw while traveling, okay? Super easy. Probably even easier than being on any other diet, because, like I said, you can look at something and know that it is raw, right? You don't have to be like, oh, is this keto? Is this paleo? Is this vegan? Is it high carb, low carb? No, look, I look at a piece of fruit and I know it's a piece of fruit. So just ask whoever is at the hotel, and just ask a local for help. Locals love helping people when they're traveling. The travel community is a friendly community. Okay, what to bring? So no matter where I go, I always carry a spoon. Okay, spoon is the #1 default, man. It's a shovel for your mouth. Okay, super good, awesome. Okay, if I'm carrying a bag I'm gonna check, I will bring a small knife. literally probably just like I bought a knife about this big when I was in Thailand, and I still have it, and it worked really well. It was like $1 or $1. So, and if you're not checking a bag, then honestly, when you're at the grocery store, you can probably buy a knife. If not, if you can probably buy a knife for a couple of dollars, and if that all else fails, there probably is some utensils at the hostel or the hotel, wherever you're staying. Someone will have a knife, someone will have a spoon, but I always like to bring my own spoon at the very least and try to bring a knife. A small cutting board is also really helpful too, just for cutting the fruit up and everything like that, making less of a mess. And another thing too, shopping bags. I got one right here. Just like throwing in a couple of these bags, like they make a huge difference when carrying fruit, because it can be a little bit big and cumbersome sometimes. Okay, the final thing, if I had room, I like to travel with a bowl, but even that I'm not too fussed with. Is a good idea, like a big salad bowl or just like a big bowl to put all my fruit trimmings in, but that's it. Mainly the spoon is the big thing. Okay, I've even used a spoon, believe it or not, I've used a spoon to cut open a watermelon. I basically stab it in and I wrap it with a cloth, and I literally just like press it down on it until I get all the way around. Like, I've opened a spoon with, or I've opened a watermelon with a spoon. I've even opened mangoes, like I've even sliced the skin of mangoes using a nail clippers, because they have that little edge thing that you can use to clean the dirt underneath your skin, and I've used that to open my mangoes. Don't worry, I cleaned it first. Okay, all right, next one. What to eat? Okay, so this is when it gets a little bit harder being raw. I would say the hard part, like I said, is getting ripe fruit, okay? So you want it to be ripe, preferably. You want it to be ripe fruit. So when you're going in colder climates, you're probably looking more at things like apples, oranges, grapes, maybe melons, depending on the time of year, and berries. Melons are a bit of a stretch. It really depends on the time of years, but apples, oranges, and berries. And I put maybe bananas, because like every warmer climate I've ever been to, or colder climate, they always have bananas, but they're usually not ripe. So unless you want to eat a lot of starch bombs, yeah, I wouldn't go for the bananas, right? And even in the warmer climates, like it's rare that I ever see ripe bananas. So unless you're staying for a few days and want something to ripen, or if you get lucky and find some ripe bananas, then go for it. But yeah, in colder climates, mainly apples, oranges, grapes, berries, probably the best. And in the warmer climates, you can probably get almost anything, you know, because fruit ripens way quicker than it grows way faster in the warmer climates. Okay, so I was just going to show you a few quick. Let's see, do I have it here? Not that one. Okay, so, all right, just a few quick pictures here so you get the point. Let's move this down here. So again, like I said, I've traveled to many countries, okay? And I've always been able to find fruit. This is in Cozumel, Mexico, no problem, okay? This is in Cuba. Look at all that fruit, okay? So we got some papayas, coconuts, bananas. Even those bananas actually look pretty ripe. Pineapple, no problem, okay? Let's see here. And then in a colder climate I've traveled to, still kind of a little bit tropical, but not super tropical, is Hong Kong. And this is a great example, because I literally got to the hotel, the hostel I was staying at, and I asked somebody, I'm like, where is the nearest grocery store? And they said, oh, right across the street. And I was like, that's convenient. So I literally went out of my hostel, walked across the street, and found this restaurant in Hong Kong. And sure enough, it had tons and tons of fruit. I basically ate mostly oranges, grapes, and grapefruit when I was there, because that's what they had. And you can see just all the fruit there, the grapes right there, and it was easy. It was fine. Obviously, I always like to get organic fruit if I can, especially for like things like grapes, but like sometimes just beggars can't be choosers when you're traveling, right? Okay. This is Vietnam. This is one of my favorite fruits. This is a big pile of durian. Again, easy place to travel to. Mangoes right there as well. And this is me at my home. I lived in Thailand, called Pai, for 5 months. Look at all those watermelons, no problem, right? So very easy to travel when you're raw. And just as for sake of reference, I was on the internet, and I literally just typed in grocery store Finland, okay? And so you can see maybe not as much fruit as it would be in the tropics, but you can definitely see, even in a country like Finland, you can get fresh produce, probably more on the vegetable sides there. And look, they even got a huge organic section right there. Ah, look at that. Can I zoom in? Those look like bananas. A little bit grainy bananas, but those look like bananas. Okay? So no matter where you go, you can always find fruit. And just like I said, probably the biggest thing I would say would be to ask the locals where the best fruit is. Yeah, good luck, and I hope you have a happy travel, happy trips, and keep going raw. All right, I'll talk to you in the next video. Peace and plants. Bye.